Welcome to the final episode of season 3 of the Falling for Learning podcast. I am so glad that you have joined me today for season 3's last episode. The past few weeks we've had replay episodes, and now we're getting into the last episode of season 3. Hi, thank you so much for joining the Falling for Learning podcast. I am TD Blennaw. We have this podcast to help parents and caregivers with having the resources, strategies, and tools needed to make sure that their children are on track for learning and to stay on track for success. We are having season 4 start up right away. After all, we have been busy. We have been doing all kinds of things. So I really want to really start with the joy and the pain of it all. So this season was really fueled by me determining that I was going to finish my book. It is called Little Mobile Home on the Tundra. It is a book that I have labored over and then put it aside, set it aside, put it off, delayed so many times. And so finally, I kept this promise to myself, followed through, and got that book completed. It was a labor of love and a labor of healing, right? This novel was really about growing up and really reflecting on all of the things that I had to do to navigate where I am today. So I am 4th generation teenage mom and 1st generation college graduate, and the book is loosely based on my life growing up in Alaska and overcoming generational dysfunction. So just really excited that happened and got that done. I also was working on my reading specialist credential. So those of you who read the book, or if you haven't read the book, you should know it does talk about how I had been working on tutoring or teaching other children how to read since I was a kid. What is not in the book is by the time I was I got into 4th grade, I had already taught my sister how to read. I did not get myself together or my reflections together and all of the things together. Again, haven't been thoroughly healed in that relationship and all of the burden that took on as me being a sister mama. So I did not have a sister in the book because of that. And it is what it is. Like, that's what I could do, really having all the years reflecting and toiling and laboring over the story of my life and really getting the words to articulate. I didn't get that part done. And there's no regrets there. That's just how it is. And that's what it is, right? So, and I talked about at the beginning of the top of the podcast, the joy and the pain of it all. So as I worked on getting my book completed, as I finished my reading specialist credential, right, I found myself to be in a lot of pain because I had overdone it once again. I strive to not do too much, but I feel like invariably I end up doing too much, meaning I am not getting the rest that I need. I'm not getting the recovery time that I need. And so I'm just overwhelmed, overburdened. So that happens a lot. And it's something that I am continuously working on. And so if you've been following the podcast, you've been following my social media, there's a big gap in social media this year because I did have someone helping me. And, I am a solo podcaster. And so a lot of things are done by me. And then I try to delegate, but we're still finding the funding and all of that going together. And so that is a big challenge. And so I don't have the bandwidth for all of it, as I shouldn't. Like, I am just a human. And so obviously I cannot do all the things. And the social media took a back door, and that was that. A lot of that was that. But just lessons learned, right? This is the Falling for Learning podcast, and I am sharing with you my learning journeys, as well as talking to you and being very intentional about how to keep learning going, how to keep your kids engaged with learning, and helping to make that next generation successful. And so that is why I need to be very frank and very clear about what is what, right? My journey has been a mix of joy and pain. This year, there have been deaths in the family, and there has been a lot of joy and accomplishments, a lot of graduations in the family, and they are happening at the same time. Deaths and graduations are happening at the same time for several different family members. Like, it is kind of strange and odd, but also just an example of how our lives are so complicated. It's not all happiness and all sadness, but it's both, and it's going on at the same time. And that is really what we have to be good at, navigating that, like figuring out, how do we deal with this? How do we move forward when we don't feel like it, when the pain is very real and very fresh and new, and the joy is as well. We're happy, we're excited, we're sad, we're bereft, all at the same time. Like, how do we deal with that? And I don't have the answers. All of it's really fresh. There's even, you know, there's even a death in the family I am not even going to talk about right now, not even mention it, because it's just too much to even like mention any part of it. So I'm going to move on from that, and maybe I'll feel comfortable talking about it later. Maybe I won't. At this point, to be transparent, I don't see talking about it in the future. But, unfortunately, death is permanent. And so maybe I'll feel differently. I don't know. So burnout, right? There was a gap, right? I felt myself balancing all of these things, the podcast, the book, the reading specialist credential. I was in classes from Tuesdays and Thursday nights, 5:30 to 8:45, and all of the coursework that goes into it. We had case studies we were developing. It was a lot. And again, I found that there was a gap between my energy and my responsibilities. And sometimes the relationships suffer. We don't really pay attention to our partner. We don't really pay attention to our kids the way we're supposed to. And it leaves a gap there, or someone else filling in the gap. And with that in mind, I have a wonderful husband, and this is, this month marks our 10th anniversary of our wedding. So 10 years ago, we got married. I didn't even have social media. I had accounts, but I did not post regularly in 2016. So my social media posts are like a picture that someone else had posted, and it's like, I got married 10 years ago. Like, so it's kind of really weird. But that's what it was with my social media. A lot of things have changed over the 10 years. We have traveled around the world, many different destinations. We have been engaging in many different business adventures, and I'm just excited for what else, us going forward, what we have going on in our lives. But the 10 years has gone fast, and that's one thing. I did not have pictures on social media 10 years ago. I probably went on like Facebook and not any other accounts, but Facebook maybe once a year, maybe. So that's really, what I wanted to point out and say. So many great things are happening, but also some very tragic things are happening. And that is what this show is all about, how to navigate all of those things as a parent, and how to keep ourselves healthy and balance so that we can feed into the next generation in productive ways, right? That we're not harming them and not addressing that harm, right? Because we might harm them. We are human. So we might, but can we be reflective? Can we learn from it? And with that, my podcast is getting ebbs and flows with, the viewership and it is what it is. The Rewrite Method and the Rewrite Method Workbook are your go-to resource for helping kids to learn to fall in love with writing. It has the tips, tools, resources, strategies, and skill-building activities to help kids fall out of writing hate and into loving to write. Get your book set today. I saw recently, I guess he's like a podcast or social media coach or something, and a young girl, and I want to say young, like, I think she said she was 15, 17, I don't know, in her teens, and she said she had 300 videos and still not many people are watching it. And I saw that the advice was, well, you need to change it up. But I feel like she took from that she's going to stop. And I'm taking it, because basically I have my 300 and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to just change it up. Right. And changing it up, not meaning to stop. I believe in the mission of the podcast, which is to make sure that next generation has what they need to navigate the ebbs and flows of teenagehood, of childhood, all of the things. And I probably just made up a word, but I'm a creative. That's what I do. No. So that's the serious part of it. This podcast is needed. It's necessary. And I am changing it up where I am going to be very intentional about having a co-host on the podcast so that we could just keep the conversation flowing. But you still are, I'm not going to change it in a way that it's less productive. It's more theater or entertainment, right? I'm not going to be arguing with anyone on the podcast. We may be talking about controversial issues, but we'll talk about them in a way that's fact-based, that is, like, we're going to be trying to get to that underbelly where it really affects parents and kids, and then how to make a difference with it in your life. So, I am changing it up for season 4. I've changed my podcast host. I'm not on Buzzsprout anymore. I'm changing to Riverside. Not changing, I have changed to Riverside. So making changes, really always thinking about how to elevate and level up. And I really appreciate all of you who watch the podcast, who are still trying to lean in and have conversations about what we can do for our kids. Those of you who have some insights to offer, reach out to me. My schedule was obviously very much impacted as I was working on my reading specialist credential, meaning that, Tuesdays and Thursdays nights, and I still have a day job. I still work for a living. That didn't leave much time. And we talk about resting and resetting, it wasn't happening as much as it should have been. But the podcast kept coming on. I did a lot of replays this year. I had not had any previously. And, but it was my mission to every week have a podcast out. We had some late days and even some technical issues where there was a podcast, I think, that went out on Saturday. Sunday, technically. They come out Saturdays, 5 p.m. Sometimes I try to post them earlier. But it's just my mission to just really try to keep that conversation going and really be engaging my audience in ways that are supportive and healing and restorative. So that's what it is. And I really encourage you to email me at writerty@gmail.com so that I can know what you need, know what you want to talk about. If you want to come on the show and offer some strategies or support and resources, we're about that. Okay. The next thing I'm going to shift because I have a very special event coming up. So the Obama Presidential Center, next month, July 25th, we are going to be hosting a event. I have a couple of partners that I have partnered up with. Flow Up Productions, I Am Possible, Wanda Lee Florestein, Nia Amani Academy. So those are some of my partners, but we are going to have a children's book making event. So it's called Little Authors Bookmaking event that's going to be at the Obama Presidential Center on July 25th. We are accepting donations from people who want to be a part of this historic event. This is the first one, and we plan to be make it an annual event because, of course, this is something that's needed in the community. When we're talking about having a literary experience, right? Drawing kids into loving to learn, loving to write, loving to read. Making a book at the Obama Presidential Center is one of the premier ways. It's hands on. It's so exciting. We have so many people partnering up with us, and we invite you to partner up with us as well. So you can have your names on the t-shirts and on some of the swag the kids are going to get that day. So it is such a special event. We know the Obama Presidential Center just opened in on right before Juneteenth, right? So that was such an amazing, like if you've seen some of the footage and the videos, it was, such a blessed place. And of course, we're going to be blessing the children from the South Side of Chicago, ages 8 through 11, that want to be there and be a part of that event and make books, and walk away with their own book that is completed. That's just going to be amazing. We're also going to make a book to commemorate the event, and the link is in the show notes. So if you want to be a part of this, get in on it over the course of this season. So I'm going to shift and talk now about the season. I got into allowing people to pay to be on the podcast. And my reflection on that has been that it was less than helpful for my audience. There were some interesting topics, but I feel like the look of the podcast and the feel of the podcast was altered by that. And so I'm being more judicious about who I bring on and what they have to offer, right? Again, some people had some great things to offer, but they also came on looking. Okay, I think I'm just gonna move on past that. They came on looking like and I'm just gonna leave it there. I am appreciative of anyone who wants to be a part of the podcast, but I just want people to be intentional about, presenting, and I'm not asking for perfection. I don't come on this podcast perfect, and I don't expect anyone to be perfect, but let's show that we care. And I feel like less care was given by some of the guests. So that is a challenge for me. So my podcast I look at as like a little baby, and I really am protective of it. And then, of course, because I am human, I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm going to be able to reflect on those mistakes. And you, as my audience members, I'm just going to be honest with you about it, like kind of what was going on behind the scenes. I'm not going to call out anybody or talk about anyone specifically. If you were on the show and you're wondering if I am talking about you, I don't know. You have to just do you got to figure it out yourself. Do you feel like you put your best foot forward on the show? Do you feel like you cared about your appearance? Do you feel like you showed that care? So I'm not going to talk to people individually about it at all. I am just going to be very judicial about what I do. And just to be honest, when I am on the podcast, a lot of times I am and one thing is like, if we fail to plan, we plan to fail. When I first started my podcast in 2023, I had like 10 episodes in the hole. So if we interviewed, I was like, maybe your podcast will be on in 2 months. Maybe it'll be on in 3 months. I don't know. We had a lot of podcasts in the hole. And then at some point we didn't have a hole anymore. Right. And it was just like, if you came on the podcast, I put you on the podcast because what was I going to put out on Saturday at 5 p.m.? And so then it was more like, well, whatever I can get, I'm going to get. But again, that's something I'm going to change. And I'm just trying to be transparent and tell you about my process. Being a solo podcaster who's also overwhelmed, but just determined to keep moving. Sometimes that's just flying by the seat of my pants. Like, we're going to put a podcast out today. I'm not even sure what it's going to be about. I'm going to do much better at planning out what each episode is going to be, like a theme of the month or whatever, so that we're really focused. Now, some of you may even think, oh, well, she didn't do a Black history, she didn't do this. That, like, everybody is doing that. And obviously, if you watch my podcast, you will see Black history like every month. You will see Black people doing things and shaping the world in ways in which maybe you didn't think about. So it for me, elevating the culture is not about like, okay, this month we're doing this, and I'm not going to do like special episodes just on that, because I don't want to. I just don't. I just think it's like, why? Because I'm going to always be doing that. I'm always going to be highlighting and elevating and lifting up Black people, and then highlighting Black people that are doing great things. And of course, we're going to have other people as well, but definitely Black people will be on the show, because I am African American. I am Black. I am someone who is going to be proud of that and be representing to the fullest. And so I don't need to have a specialized time of year for that. And when people do it, I am not knocking them. It's just not something I'm going to do. But when I have like highlights and themes, it probably won't be Black, because I'm going to be having Black throughout. Okay. And so there's some questions about that. And I hope I was not unclear, because that's how I see it. I don't see it as a thing you need to do on special occasions. It's something that we need to do on a regular basis all the time. And I'm not just about saying it. You're going to see it in action. So yeah, that's the thing. So please reach out again, ridertie@gmail.com. You can go to Falling for Learning to get information, our upcoming series. I have new courses that are coming out for teachers and parent educators, right? We know we're homeschooling out there, and some of us who are not homeschooling exclusively are trying to get our kids caught up, because some of our kids are behind. And how do we get them caught up? We are going to be taking some of the courses so we can see how to do that in a productive way. Many of us have been front seat or victims of parents trying to get our kids caught up or to help them in school. It's just a lot of yelling and blaming and whippings and punishments. And what are we really doing? Right? So you may need someone who helps you navigate. I'm the person. I will help you navigate how to get your kid caught up in a productive way, so they're not coming out hating school, that they're coming out loving school and loving learning. Okay. And so there is a method to it. There is an art to it. And so let me show you. So again, go to fallingforlearning.com, join our email list, so that you will know what you need to do to keep your kid on track, because they may be on track today. Tomorrow they'll be behind, and today they'll be up. They might be good in math, but they're down in reading. It is a journey. And the journey changes. They might be doing great, but then something happens in the family. There could be a loss. There could be some kind of something that happens that puts them on a different track. So again, how do you get them on track? How do you keep them on track? How do you make sure they stay on track for success until they're an adult, until they're independent? What are we going to do? Thanks so much for joining the Falling for Learning podcast. showing the love for your kid, showing the dedication for your child by getting into podcasts and conversations that matter. It's not just about entertainment or having fun all the time, but how do we help our kids to fall in love with learning? How do we help our kids to love the process of learning? And how do we help ourselves through this journey when there is no handbook to it? Okay? Thank you so much again for joining us. Have a great week, and I will see you on our season 4. Season 4 is coming up. So many great things, and you're going to hear a lot more about the Obama Presidential Center event. Of course, we'll have footage from that event when it happens in July. But again, please be a part of it. Help invest in that program. Our event coming up, and it's your first annual. It's going to come up every year. So again, thank you so much for all that you do to help that next generation. Have a great week. Thanks again for supporting the Falling for Learning podcast. New episodes go live every Saturday at 5 p.m. You can watch us on youtube.com at Falling for Learning, or listen on all major podcast platforms such as Apple, Google, Audible, Spotify, and much more. For more resources, visit fallinginlovewithlearning.com. We really appreciate you. Have a wonderful week.